Okay, we got a short week turnaround, and so we altered practice in the approach here a bit, but it's a serious week for us to get going and get a win. And really, it's about one game and one game only. It always is, but it even seems more clear how the focus needs to be really right. And so we started into it, and today we're underway, and look forward to pretty good return of guys to be healthy, I think, and so we need to put together a great week to get a win.
What do you mean you altered practice?
Well, because it's a shortened week, so that we don't get the same rhythm normal. We'll do all of the same practice reps and get all that done, but it's a little different mode because the recovery time is less for the guys. So we take care of them in that regard.
You mentioned some guys get back. Anybody in particular coming back then? Or?
Yeah, it looks. The early indication is Darryl is really ready to get back in. Damian looks like that's the way they're talking. They're really counting on making it back to play, which is a nice boost for us.
Seeing Shaquille Griffin fit into Jacksonville's defense, are they using him any differently than what you guys did?
No, he's matching up with guys at times, but he's playing basically the same style of technical football. He's on the line of scrimmage a lot and pressing and doing all that. He looks like he's off to a good start.
How disappointed were you not to be able to bring him back after developing him for 4 years?
Yeah, we would have loved to have been able to do that. We weren't able to get it done. He got a tremendous opportunity, and he had to go and all that. And we love Shaq and would have liked to have him back, but it just didn't fit.
There's a lot of Seahawks connections on the offensive coaching staff of the Jaguars. How much of that imprint is similar to what maybe Shadi and Bevel did here?
Well, those guys, they know the league, and they have, from what I can tell from the breakdowns that I'm going through and evaluating them, that they've chosen really good stuff to build their offense, and they're using their personnel well, and in particular the quarterback. And those guys have great backgrounds, and they know what they're doing. So it's a very smart staff, and and Sanjay as well. We would expect all those guys. They're going to put together a heck of a game plan this week.
Well, Urban Meyer very well, or did he talk to you or anything? Just the fact that he's bringing in all these guys from here.
No, I know him just from talking to him a couple times over the years over a couple different issues and players and stuff like that. Ohio State, guys coming out.
How's Marquise Blair?
He's getting operated on today, I believe, today or tomorrow, and he has to get his it's good surgery to get his knee fixed. He's got a fractured patella, is what it is.
Season's over?
Yes.
Any update on D. Eskridge?
He's flying in tonight. He'll arrive tonight. He's had a big training and rehab program that he went through in Florida that we thought was necessary, and so I can't tell you. I know that what the reports are coming out, that he's in great shape and ready to go. I don't know what that means until we get him out in the field, and if he's cleared tomorrow, then we'll start to get some work from him, and I can't tell you what that means.
Clarity for you just on what the actual issue was, or why would this one was so...
He did have some issues from the concussion that he had, and some visual things that he was working on, and that's what he's been focusing on. Didn't mean to say it that way, but.
With Marquise out, what does that do at nickel?
You're the only guy that got it. Pardon me?
With Marquise out, what does that do at nickel? Does Ugo slide in there full time? Is there still a competition?
Yeah, Ugo, he's been playing the spot for a year now. He's done a really nice job. And like I said to you all along, there was never a case where he was losing his job. We just thought Marquise needed to play and deserved play time also. Remember, Marquise was there first, way back when. And so we recognized that, and so really Ugo just takes over the spot.
How is Brandon Shell?
He's a little sore. His ankle's a little sore. He had both ankles were a little off, and so he got one of them, and we just need to see what the next couple of days means. He's getting around fine and all that. He's not hobbled by it, but we just got to make sure and give him a chance to recover.
With Blair, just to clarify, after the game you said patellar tendon. Was there any...
That totally screwed up if I said that. Yeah, I'm sorry I said that.
Eskridge, what kind of work was he doing down in Florida?
Yeah, I thought you might ask that, and it was focused. I'm using the word again. It's a visual training program that was really specialized for his situation that we wanted to take full advantage of. So that's how I see it.
What
It depends how you're looking at it, though.
what had you seen from Eskridge before?
Is that the part of the joke?
Ended up being that way. What did you see from him before the concussion and everything, and in the little bit he'd been able to play for you?
Gosh, really obvious potential to be a factor and a player and a guy that could help us. I've seen him enough, in practice and in the work that we've done to know that his ability, his explosion, his power, his strength, decision-making, his confidence, his hands, all of those things are right on point. And route running, too. He did not have to run a lot of routes in his offense in college that were very intricate. And so we had to see that for the first time when we got him here. We were curious about it, and he had no problem, creative in his movements and changing direction and stuff like that. So he'll be a real factor when he's able to go again.
Is there any long-term concern with his condition?
No, I mean, no, not at this point.
How's the center position been going for you? How's
Competitive. It's competitive, and Ethan deserves a chance to get out there, and so we'll look forward to him playing some this week.
Has that gone the way you envisioned in the offseason when you did draft one and you didn't sign one and couldn't sign one because it got rich? Has that position panned out the way you thought?
The center position? Well, no, of course not, because Ethan didn't get to stay in the competition. Ethan started 5 games for us last year to start the season and was doing really well. I had anticipated that it would be a battle and we'd have a kind of a classic competition, and it didn't work out that way. He had to step aside, because he was hurt, and so Kyle took over and has worked really hard at the spot and done all right. And so, but Ethan also deserves a chance to play too, and very much like the Marquise Ugo thing.
How would you characterize that play up front? Because it looks like perhaps that there's some miscommunication going on, but when you take a look at offensive line play, what would you characterize it as?
We have to be more consistently on it with our calls and the stuff. We can get better there, and so that's in that sense. The competition is still open, and it's important that we get a chance to see how Ethan does and how Kyle does in response and all of that. It's a very important position for Shane's background. It's been a really important position for that guy to really command what's going on and assist the quarterback in all ways. And so we're still working at it.
Does that mean Ethan's starting?
We'll wait and see at the end of the week here.
How did you, when you went back and watched it, how did you feel Gino played?
I thought the game was hard on him in that we weren't as clean as we needed to be in protection, and it put burden on him some. And so they particularly in late in the game when we needed to get moving, we couldn't get going. But like I've said, he's been battling. He's been working the system. He's been able to communicate with Shane during the game to make the calls, and he made a couple great throws. And obviously the big play to DK was the the hot spot of the night. But he's working the offense and leading us the way you need your guy to come in off the bench and do. And hopefully we can support him better and get him more chances to get the ball down the field a little bit more.
Turnover Sunday, but upon further review, was the play calling too cautious?
No, this was the game. We played this game with all of the situation that was there and the conditions and knowing their style of play as well. This was a game that was going to be a tight football game, and if we were doing well, and if we did really well, then we could get out ahead of them and hopefully put them behind us. But that didn't happen. We played off the defense. The defense was playing great, and we wanted to, we were field position defense and take care of the ball, and thought that would give us our best chance of not giving them an opportunity. These guys had 8 or 9 interceptions coming in. They had a lot of big plays and a really tough pass defense, one of the best pass defenses in the league, and we wanted to make sure that we had a chance to win the end of the game, and we were there. But obviously we couldn't get it done.
Past few weeks.
It wasn't because of the end of the game. It was because of other things that happened. We easily could have been ahead in this football game by more, and it would have allowed us to do some other things.
These past few weeks kind of been a reminder and illustration as how fine the margin is between you get a few of these and the record's totally different.
There's no doubt. There's no doubt. I don't know if I mentioned it the other night, but coming off of the Super Bowl season, the first meeting we had in here, I showed these guys the 9 games that we had that could have gone either way. and during the season to make them realize again, how slim the margin is when you think you're all that, and you won the world championship and you think, you got it made. Well, every single game of those 9 games during the course of the season easily could have gone the other way, just like these last few games have gone. And so that you respect the challenge of it and the detail that it takes to execute so that you can finish the games in charge of the outcome instead of, on the other side of it. And that's how it goes. And I mean, look at the games every weekend. The weekend is highlighted by 5 or 6 games that all come right down to the last play or the last kick. That's common in the league, because everybody's so much the same. And so, yeah, it's really obvious to me that this is how it is, and that's, I think, probably why I reflected, the thought about Russ. He's been in so many of these games for us over the years, and we have a lot of experience of being in those situations, and a lot of positive ones too. So we've been very fortunate that we've been able to win a bunch of them.
This is obviously unfamiliar territory for you and everyone around here. Just how are you handling this, kind of personally?
I'm not going to answer that the way I normally answer it. But yeah, well, the last time I think I was on a team when we were in this situation, it was my first year at SC. I think we were 2-5 at SC, and so I remember that. I remember what that was like and all that. I don't like going back to it, but sometimes it's important. Sometimes you gotta learn the hard way, and I hate learning the hard way. I like everybody else to learn the hard way, but this is one of those times right now, and so we have to fight through it. So that's what I'm doing, and there's nothing in me that thinks otherwise. That's all you can do right now, and it's really important to stay true to who you are and what you're all about, and not let the circumstances waver you. But that doesn't mean that you got to be open to adjust and find ways to to get the results that you want. So that's what I'm consumed with, and there's nothing else that I even have thoughts about, So and that's okay. That's how you compete. That's what I'm doing.
What is your process with that? Do you ask more questions of more people around you, or do you kind of find yourself?
Really stay curious. Yeah, curious in all aspects of everything that we're doing, of course, and when open to do what we have to do, and not shut off to what, like this is the only way it can get done. No, but there are so many truths, that in stuff that, should weigh out. Like, we continue to take care of the football better than anybody, and that, again, another goose egg on offense. It's a fantastic effort by our guys. That should help us win games, and it always has, and right now it's kind of like, I'm shocked that we're not able to take advantage of that clean play, because it's as good as you can do it, and so see if we can keep that rolling, and that'll be a factor that'll help us win some games down the road.
First year at USC, you pretty much overhauled your system after that start. I remember you talking about that, and then you went and were off. Do you see any drastic changes system-wise like that here that could change?
No, we have too much depth and background in what we're doing now. That we have too much understanding of what's going on. I mean, we were terrible about the ball. There were so many things we were terrible at back then, but there was a moment that it was the night before the Arizona game. We were playing in Arizona, and we hadn't done very well. And I was thinking about changing quarterbacks, and Matt Leinart was the QB, the backup, and I was thinking about him starting. And so I had gone a long ways to making a big time change, but then no offense to Matt, but I kept my wits about me and stayed with Carson Palmer. And we found out that it wasn't really the quarterback, it was us needing to do better and play better. And we from that point on, we won a lot of games, and we didn't lose very many games for years. And so that was the turnaround moment. So maybe this 2-5 may have a little bit of poetry to it for us. I don't know.
What did you think of Sidney and Trey on Monday?
The corners played well. All 3 guys that played in the game, Utu and Marquise playing at nickel. Those guys played a good football game, played good tight coverage. I think Trey continues to show that he's really comfortable, and I mean, I just can't get him in many situations that he isn't in command of. So I'm really fired up about his play. Sydney had a couple nice plays in the game and had a nice breakup on third down and all that, and so I'm happy with those guys, the way they're playing.
Can you continue to rotate Sidney and Trey over the series? Like, would you like to just have one corner?
Maybe.
Who's going to start at that position?
You've said recently you have said you don't like alternating there.
Say it again, please.
You have said you don't like alternating there.
Yeah, I'm not getting over it. I mean,
What do you see at Trevor Lawrence? I mean, obviously.
there is some comfort. You find comfort when the guys do it well, and the guys are doing it well right now. And that's not that we have to continue to pursue that, but see, I can get better too.
I thought we were done there. Trevor Lawrence, I mean, obviously #1 pick and all that. What do you see at him?
Well, he's talented. He's really talented, and he's improved a good deal already in this course of the season. Just you can see him. There's so much for him to gain. There's so much to learn and gain control of, which he will. He's really talented, and he's obviously why they picked him. He moves really well. He's got terrific mechanics and motion. Can throw the ball on the move. Has lots of big throws in him already, and he has mistakes that a young quarterback would make that he won't make eventually, and he'll minimize those. And when he does, this team is a loaded football team. They were ahead of the Cardinals going in at the beginning of the fourth quarter, 1917. They had the Bengals going in their game. They played a terrific game in London to get their win, and they run the football. They play good defense. They're tough as hell, and special teams, led by Nick Sorensen, is really coming. They're really good there too. So it was the first thing I addressed with these guys when we turned to Wednesday. It was Monday, then it was Wednesday, and when we got to Wednesday, you can see why they won the football. You can see why they're ahead too. James Robinson is really good. He's really a good football player, and they know how to use him, and they're featuring him, and the stuff they're doing with the QB makes them they're a good club, and so we're up against it. I know they're all fired up. They got their win, and we got the monkey off the back, and they're ready to go. I'm sure.
That pass rush has come along in the last couple of weeks too. How does Josh Allen show up on film?
Yeah. They're very aggressive. You can tell the style. There's a style about the way they play up front. It comes right through from the coordinator that they're very aggressive and they attack well. Josh, has a couple sacks and all that, but he's got a lot more rushes in him than that. They have not had a lot of production sack-wise, but they're still making it hard on the quarterback.
Is there anything new on Russell? There had been the report that he would have the pin taken out of his finger this week.
His report? He took a shot at it a couple days ago, but no. Sorry.
What's caused the improvement on your third down defense?
A month ago, Kenny addressed these guys differently, and with some thoughts, and we've become more aggressive in all aspects of what we're doing, and it's just gotten better, and it's been obvious, and it's made a difference in how we're playing, and it's kind of led us into one of the best games we've played this past weekend, and so. That doesn't mean nothing now, so what are you going to do about it? It's the next week out that counts. And so, but we have definitely, we've shifted gears a little bit and some stuff and really fit to the players was really good decisions, I thought, and guys are taking to it. So,
Where do you think
without being specific and telling you what it is, obviously.
Where do you think you made strides on that side of the ball, just generally? Like, what's made you
we've been aggressive and coverage has been better. The corner play has really come around, and the guys have been more consistent and more of a factor. We mixed our coverages well last week and made a nice adjustment at halftime. To make sure that Kamara didn't catch a million balls in that game, and but it's basically, I think the coverage is accented what's going on up front. The three guys inside playing, Monet and Al and Puna, really played well. They played really well in this game, and they're I'll give you one. You guys will like this one. Al Woods is playing really like Big Red. I thought you'd like that, and it's been a little bit of a shift, and that's something that he's taken to, and he's a monster at that spot, just like Red was back in the day, and so sometimes you got to go back to the history to move forward.
With LJ, is there something about what you're doing up front that he's either not taking
Brandon
to?
Meebane's going to love the fact that I brought that up now. Brandon Meebane, I don't think Red will care that much, but Meebane will love that. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
With LJ being inactive every week, is there something about what you're doing up front that he's maybe not as suited as other guys to do?
We are playing bigger. We're playing as big as we can get inside.
On football thing, last year you guys around this time were really big pushing the voting stuff, and during the summer you got everybody registered. With another election coming up, do you ever bring up to guys, it's not a 4-year thing that this is?
Yeah, what's it, the second, there's something coming up in November? Yeah, it'll be a part of the topic. Have you guys done your voting yet? Well, yeah, I'm in. I'm a mail-in guy.
What do you?
I think mail-in voting is a really good accessible tool. It sure helped us, and so maybe some of our guys will be able to take advantage of that too. As with the rest of us that are listening to this, could take advantage of it too. Everybody needs to vote. We need everybody voting, so we're going to try to show that again.
Why do you think you're not getting the protection you want from your edge guys, specifically in like those third down pure pass rush situations?
We got to keep going. We got to keep working at it. Not having Darrell last week was obvious. It changed rotation. You saw that Alton played a lot more and had some chances. I thought I would think that Carlos, this was probably his best game, pushing the pocket and being a factor. When Carlos does what he does well, and he's pushing the pocket, then we're really looking for the speed on the other side to take advantage of that. And if you notice, Benson played a lot of plays in this game, and I would like to adjust that a little bit so that we can get more from Darrell, and so we'll see how that goes.
Are you getting what you need to see out of dropping those guys like Carlos and Benson and stuff?
Yeah, we rarely do it. It doesn't happen very much, but it's a mechanism when you're pressuring, basically, and so it's just a change-up thing.
Yeah, Jason Myers has missed a few kicks lately, just kind of the way he goes, or?
I'm sick for him. He's a great player, and he showed phenomenal consistency as we've been together. And unfortunately, to miss 2 in a game, that's that ain't happening again. He's going to bounce right back. He's a great competitor about it. He's got great mechanics. He's got great routine to him, and he'll bounce right back.
One more. How are you seeing him respond to not playing?
Frustrated. He's frustrated like he should be, like you'd expect. He wants to play. He practices really hard every day, and he's got a great attitude about it. But, everybody's here to play, and I'm here to watch. So it's hard on him.
What is Tater's game day responsibilities look like?
He's in the box, and I'm talking to him. We're playing the game. Whenever I need him, I go to him. He's specializes in replays and stuff like that, and some of the decisions that that come to game time. He's the guy I've known the longest, and he knows me the best, and he knows when to kick me in the butt if I need to, and I'm always patting him on the back.
All right, thank you.